8 deaths out of 10 were from the kids on autism spectrum. That's how they came up with this branch of study, branch of therapy for them to make only life safety first. And that's how it progressed to aquatherapy and exercising, inclusion, fine motor skill, lean muscle development. So I feel if we can achieve every child to be life safe in swimming, I think it's amazing.
Bryne was having zero sitting tolerance. So we used a holistic approach, towards their therapies as well. Whatever the gross motor skills or the fine motor skills, we started developing them in a home environment. Every day we have got the whole corn coming at home. Okay, Bryne sits and he peels one kernel out of it. So that builds a lot of sitting tolerance.
Is have hope and also have perspective of where you want to go. There are no benchmarks to be achieved. There's nothing to be achieved than to live to your highest capacity. Find what's yours and live that.
So welcome both of you to the Dolly Show. Here we have with us our professional, who is Jyotsna Pansare, and she is an aquatic therapist. And we have our parent, who is Bryne Rodrigues, and he has 2 children on the spectrum. So this is what makes the TDS, the Dolly Show, unique, our professional and our parent. So yes, navigating autism together, one story at a time. So yes, Jyotsna, we would really love to know from you. You have had a lot of achievements, and we do know you've got an award from the Maharashtra government, and our parents. Both the children also have achieved a lot. So yes, first we'll get to know your achievements, and then definitely we'll come to you. So yes,
Thank you for having me.
thank you so much.
I have been a professional swimmer all my life, and I just learned swimming as a life skill.
Okay.
And my parents were keen that with studying, I do have to choose one sport, and that was swimming. And I think more than me choosing swimming, swimming chose me, because I think I went to my nationals at the age of 10. So I swam at an international level for the last 18 years. And Maharashtra government has the highest sports award. That's Shiv Chhatrapati Award, and that's been given to me in the year 2012.
Commendable.
Thank you. And I've been swimming and working for the last 10 years.
Fantastic.
So it's nice. Thank you.
So yes, Rodrigues, the 2 children, both of them have been into sports. Both of them have, had a lot of achievements in skating, in swimming. So yes, we would like to know from you.
Yes, we are glad that now is a time when we are recognized as parents of Joanne and Bryne. Now, Joanne, right now, she is 16.
Okay.
And Bryne is 14. Although they did have their challenges, it is an ongoing challenge. It's a lifelong kind of a thing. So they did have the excess energies, I would call it, because there is not a proper terminology for that right now. So they did have the excess energies. They did not know how to divert those energies, and we had to give them a direction kind of a thing. So that's how we introduced swimming as well as skating. Okay, to regulate those energies, to channelize those energies, and we are proud to say, that both Joanne and Bryne. Right now, they are in a Guinness Book of World Record for skating.
Amazing.
Wow.
Both Joanne and Bryne, they are deep sea swimmers.
Superb.
And Joanne, because we started homeschooling for both the kids, so that is how we understood the interest of Joanne specifically in cooking.
Okay.
Now, Joanne has won at the national level cooking competitions in a teenage category.
Beautiful.
She stood first in 2021. She stood first again in 22, as well as 23. So she made a hat trick.
Amazing.
So where parents used to say, like, no, why did God do this thing to us kind of statements. Now, after so many years, like, no, we are proud that parents of neurotypical do come to us saying that why don't you train our children as well?
So nice.
So the tables have changed.
Have turned.
And right now we can say consistency, dedication is what works for our children. Maybe our children take a lot of time to learn. Maybe they may take 1,000 times against a neurotypical of 10 times. But then it works. We have to be consistent.
What a beautiful journey both of you have. I mean, it's so inspiring and so amazing to get to know from, a professional and a parent. Great. Coming back to you, Jyotsna. So, what inspired you to choose, aquatic therapy?
So I think as an athlete myself, I was very sensitive. I was very compassionate. And I found learning for me very hard because I had all alpha coaches, all very hardcore, all very strong, all said that if you want to become an athlete, you have to be aggressive, you have to be robust. So these are very male energies or male typical characteristics which an athlete had to come up. But I was a winner, but I was also very sensitive. I could do it with a lot of grace. I could do it with a lot of ease. So I needed somebody. So I always craved somebody to teach me a little more gentler, a little more softer. And when I was training in the US, I saw amazing therapists working with some special needs children. And I said, this is something what I would love to do it. And that's how I was inspired. And there are two female founders called Swim Angel Fish in the US who have an amazing organization which trains parents, athletes, whoever, professionals to deal with all spectrums, all special abilities. And that's where I first saw them. And it took me 6 years to go back to them and learn. And till then I was just working as just, be a part of a community, to be of support. And then when I decided this is what I want to do, something to do with, and I did my certification and did it. So that was my main motivation. So what I feel that if we are having such a tough time learning myself, look at the part where we have no inclusivity in India right now.
Correct.
So if I would want to be of change, I would have to do that change.
Be the change.
Yeah. So that's how I came around to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yes, coming to Mr. Bryne. Initially, how was it that you diagnosed? I mean, what were the signs and, the red flags that you saw in your children? And after that, the journey, how did you identify them? That, they are good at swimming, or you would like them to be into sports, so how has that journey evolved? We want to know the journey.
Well, both Joanne and Bryden, they were born in Sharjah.
Okay.
But then what happened was their milestones were perfect, especially Joanne. She was beyond her milestones until she was, say, around 2 years old. That is when we saw, certain signs of regression. And we were not able to understand, what is really happening. So we took to a doctor for diagnosis. Initially, there was not much of awareness at those times, and the doctors would just say, she's delayed on speech. And they would even refer, to some of their own friends and relatives who have spoken late. And they said, later on they told that, okay, fine, it is autism. Okay. Earlier, they never used to tag as autism. They used to say only delayed language kind of a thing. So that is when Joanne was diagnosed. And by the time Joanne was diagnosed, my wife, Janice, she was already carrying Bryden. Okay. So by the time Bryden turned 2 years, at that time, he also was diagnosed, showing the same kind of a symptoms, which is looking at things from the corner of the eye, or moving in circles, not giving eye contact, what they used to give initially. So these were the signs of regression. And this is what is autism. That's the time we came to know. And it was very difficult to accept,
Correct.
And because we did not know anyone around us also who had this sort of a diagnosis. And plus, along with the diagnosis, friends, relatives, neighbors would come up to say that probably they will speak late, or they would give their own advices, which never helped us. Also, when Bryden, he was about 3 years old, he was having so much of hyperactivity, and he had he used to be violent to such an extent that both me and Janice would be literally on top of him to try to control him. He used to bite her hand, nails, pull her hair to such an extent, that we used to put holy water on him, thinking that probably there is some spirit. Like we thought probably there is some spirit come upon him, because we were not understanding what is really happening and how such a kind of energy a child of 3-year-old can have.
Correct.
So most of the parents that we connect, the similar thing, we try to share that this is what you should have happen with Bryden. And imagine 2 kids on the spectrum.
Correct.
One is going in such a kind of, and we are a nuclear family, And when this is happening with Bryden, Joanne was watching. So how do we, try to calm her down? By the time Bryden would zap out, she would enter into a meltdown. So this was a difficult situation. And then we introduced them because of channelizing these excessive energies. We introduced them, Bryden, for example, for swimming.
Okay.
Both Joanne and Bryden.
That's when,
That is how,
The therapy started that way.
And for almost 6 months, Bryden didn't want to enter the pool. He kept crying to such an extent, that it was a ruckus in the swimming pool. But we knew, that we need to get him calmed down. And that is how, after 6 months, we saw slowly when his feet started touching the floor, kind of a thing. He started getting safe. He started getting more confident, and he started enjoying. Now a time was from where he used to hide the bags. Now he started bringing the bags out. So that is what, when you get to understand the love for something, it becomes more natural, it becomes more organic. And what we did was we gave them a direction then. Because we saw the love for water. And we gave them a direction, and we are proud to say, now both Joanne and Bryden, they are in deep sea swimming.
Wow.
So this is how, and it was only consistency what worked. Because otherwise, children on the spectrum are very smart. They understand, they relate things very well, and they know how to manipulate. Unless and until
negotiate, I would say.
Because unless and until the parents are on a common thing, that this is how we need to move with the child, so that the child doesn't go either to the mother or the father to move somewhere else, And skating, the same thing. We introduced them to skating. We understood, the love for skating. Both me and Janice used to be initially at 2 ends of the road, and not even skating ring.
Okay.
So we used to shout our guts out, come on, Joanne, come on, Bryden, to make them motivate. And they used to move from one end to the other. That is how.
So how did you manage to balance, skating? I have tried. It's really tough to, balance out. And so how did you manage that?
No, initially they did had their falls, etc. But then we understood that whenever they were trying to fall down or something, it was like a guardian angel protecting them.
Oh.
They never used to fall, no matter what the situation was or how the road was. Then we understood that they have got the knack.
They have got it.
Because kids on the spectrum, if they lack something, definitely there is something positive.
Yes, definitely is what we call it. Differently abled is what they are.
We need to identify that spark.
Correct.
And then give them a direction, and that will lead it to only positive results.
Yes.
So now we are proud. Now we are proud that Joanne and Bryden represent Maharashtra for Special Olympics Bharat.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They were recently awarded a Major Dhyan Chand Award also.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, for excellence in sports.
Very nice.
Joanne got a Kanya Award.
Yeah.
So nice.
Joanne got a Kanya Award from the government, sports government,
Wow.
So basically, we are proud.
Very nice.
Yes.
To be
I talk
parents
to you
of
guys.
Bryne.
All are proud.
Yeah.
And y'all should be proud because y'all have shown that consistency. Y'all have been with the children without giving up is what is commendable.
Yeah.
So hats off to y'all as well. Y'all should also be given an award.
No, there has to be consistency,
Yes.
And we need to identify, as I said earlier,
Right.
identify what they are good at. Every child is different on the spectrum with varied challenges. Okay, but then we say, what we generally see on YouTube, watch videos and be influence them only for motivation.
Correct.
Don't try to copy and imitate.
Yes, yes.
Like if every blind person would try to become Lionel Richie, it wouldn't possible.
It wouldn't,
yeah.
You have to look at your strengths
Correct.
and then move the child ahead.
So perfectly
Said.
put through. Great. This is so amazing. Your journey has been a roller coaster, but now the achievements are beyond amazing. Great. So, yes, coming back to you, Jyotsna, I would really like to know. So, you train children for competitions, national and international level, right? So, what are the techniques that you use, and what are the challenges that you face with these children while you're training or you're giving the aquatic therapy?
So I think challenges, I would say, is different from every child. They are not very similar, and they're not very boundaried. It can be different. But right now, my major concern and skill is to train them and be life safe, because I have all kids who are just 4, 5, and for them to have something that they're proud of, have something that they feel confident about. So I've got 2, 3 kids who are 4-year-old who can swim a 25-meter underwater, who love the water, who swim in rain, who have swum all through the winter, where it's so much more harder for adults to get in. These kids come up, show up resilient, happy, and courageous enough to even try because they love water. So I feel actually I don't have any challenge. I feel I just need to raise myself to be able to serve them in so many ways, because I think they have come to conquer and do so much more than we can ever expect or even think about, I feel. So I don't have any hurdles as such. I just feel that if the parents are aware that the kids have this skill and parents are able to give that, and I think it's life-changing and life-upgrading for all of them involved.
And what are the techniques that you use for these children?
So mostly right now it's only work through play. There's no work as such because they don't understand. They don't understand fatigue in many ways, like you said. For them to have excess energy burnt off, they have nothing. It's for us to know as adults. But for them, it's through work, only through play. And I feel being motivated, having teams, having friends. So swimming also gives them a space to bond, have a peer group. I feel in general schooling and all, kids are left outside and they don't have a group to share. So these kids have some bond to share. They swim together. They come to swim only because they have their friends. So that's what I think helps. And in technique wise, it just work through play, simple instructions, with giving them the space to process them. Obviously, the teaching will change as I'm teaching a neurotypical and a neurodiverse. But instructions are not different. They are the same. And they take their own time to understand it, but process is the same. Yeah, so it's not, obviously it will change from a verbal and a non-verbal child, but I have a completely non-verbal child who swims without a float and is safe. And that's been an amazing achievement for the child and the parent to be consistent and to keep, and the child loves the water. So I think that's the only goal the parent had, was he loves the water. He cannot wait once he sees the water, as it's a case on the spectrum, because kids cannot. Like in the US, I think Swim Angelship founders started this because I think 8 deaths out of 10 were from the kids on autism spectrum. That's how they came up with this branch of study, branch of therapy for them to make only life safety first. And that's how it progressed to aquatherapy and exercising, inclusion, fine motor skill, lean muscle development. So I feel if we can achieve every child to be life safe in swimming, I think it's amazing. No, so right now my ratio is 1:1. And the parents. So it's 2:1. So
it's a super safe environment.
Super safe environment. And mostly we do it when the pool is fairly empty. It's not filled with public because that's not fair on the child to learn if there's a lot more distraction.
Correct.
And parents are there to connect. Like he said, I'm at one end, the parent is at one end, probably the lifeguard is at one end. So all ends are checked off, and there's motivation and instructions from all through. And the kids pick up in no time. I feel all kids have picked up in 2 months, 3 months, at least life safe. They're able to float and go back to the wall without a issue. So I think that's
great.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
Great. Yes, coming back to Mr. Bryne, I would really love to know. We had a conversation about your children and you homeschooling them. Also, these for swimming, you have trained them yourself. So we would really love to know what techniques you have used and how have you, got your children do all this.
Well, having 2 kids on the spectrum, it's like, both of them are completely different. Okay. For example, they are, the ways of learning is different. I wouldn't say teaching, but their way, how they learn is very different. And so we have to moderate ourselves accordingly. Like as I mentioned earlier, Bryden was having 0 sitting tolerance. So we used a holistic approach, towards their therapies as well. In the school as well as outside, wherever they were going, either for occupation therapy or speech therapy, we were very clear what we were doing at home and what the therapist was doing. And because of the open discussion, you cannot work in isolation.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
We used to discuss with them, and then whatever the gross motor skills or the fine motor skills, we started developing them in a home environment.
Okay.
Like till now also, although they are in their teens, every day we have got the whole corn coming at home. Okay. Bryden sits and he peels one kernel out of it. So that builds a lot of sitting tolerance. Then we have, for example, the green peas. He peels those. Then we have the curry leaves.
Yeah.
All these things, So these are basic things.
Small things.
Exactly.
So much.
And they look forward to doing this thing. Okay.
It's a meditative process in many ways.
Yeah, and then you can't keep everything on the therapist,
Correct.
Yeah, these are simple things. What is done every day at home. Like for example, during the pandemic, we had a challenge because swimming pools were closed. They couldn't swim. They couldn't skate outdoors. So we thought something out of the box. Okay, so we put skates for both Joanne and Bryden. From the washing machine, they used to pick up clothes and go to the clothes drying line.
Very nice.
Wow.
So every day they used to do that, and they should look forward to it.
Activity out of it.
This is called innovation to the max.
Yes.
Exactly, because they started enjoying.
Wow.
They had a connect with the sport also. Okay. And our work was getting done, of course. Clothes were moving on the line. So simple things that can be done at home. And this can be built up to various other things. To mention a few, during the pandemic, I started sitting with both Joanne and Bryden, folding clothes.
Yeah.
And folding clothes in an appropriate way, how a laundry person folds. First fold, second fold, third fold, and doing it every day. So now we are glad, our work is reduced because both Joanne and Bryden, they have understood folding clothes. They make sets of everyone, this every person, and then those clothes go in the respective cupboards also by them.
Very nice. They're independent in so many ways.
Yeah, in so many ways.
So these are basic functional life skill that every individual needs. Okay, a lot of parents say about what after us. A major question in the autism journey.
Yes.
But we rather than thinking what after us. What we are thinking is use this time to make them as relatively independent as possible.
Perfect.
In their daily needs, because if they can do the laundry, if they can do the cooking, if they can support somewhere, so whether we are there or not there, they will be an asset some way, somehow.
Somehow. That's so
Because
nice.
no matter how much,
Yeah.
because no matter how much money we leave behind, but then if you leave a child who is totally dependent, then there will be no caretaker who will be coming forward to support the child.
Correct.
So we are using this time to do as much things as possible in our hands, whatever is there. And then we also make small videos. We share it in parent groups, so that other parents also get influenced.
Yes, I would love to. Is what my next question was going to crop up. Is like you are into a lot of groups. You do a lot of motivational training, and you have your YouTube channel. So I would really love to know about that.
Yeah, see what happened was during the pandemic. Again, pandemic was a boon, I could say, for us. It was a boon for us because we use it in the right way. Not only the kids, even I started cooking, I started making chapatis. So it was a boon basically.
Yes.
And the same thing, we use it for the children. Okay. So during the pandemic, we connected with a lot of parents across India as well as abroad, when we were sharing these videos. Lot of people from the US, even from Pakistan, started connecting with us, how are you able to do this? Because their videos were getting viral.
Yeah.
So that is when myself and Janice, we thought, that why don't we start a YouTube channel?
Very nice.
So that, we could share the challenges that we have faced and how we have
overcome it.
Yeah, we have overcome, and probably we have changed it to opportunities. Because see, for example, I'll give a small example of Joanne. Now, kids on the spectrum have got different traits.
Correct.
Now, Joanne has got a trait that she wants to remove fine thread from the clothes, So every edge of the clothes, the hem will be removed. She wants to remove those, no matter what it is. So it was a major challenge, Every time, all the clothes that we are having were without hem. All the clothes were removed.
Yeah.
So then what I used to see a lot of cross stitch done by my wife when she was a child. I framed those and all. So a thought came, why don't you start introducing this thing to Joanne?
Stitching.
We don't know, whether it will work or not. Let's start, So my wife, she bought those rings which we do cross stitch, and she started, with Joanne. From there, we started asking her to stitch all those hems
that she had gotten out.
That she had removed. Okay. Now, just to overcome that challenge, it resulted in an opportunity. She started learning to stitch. So all hand stitching and cross stitch and all those things, hand embroidery, she picked it up.
Nice.
So this was out of the box, because see, no matter how much I used to shout or Janet used to shout or even hit for that matter, because things were going beyond control. She used to put those thread inside her mouth so much,
Okay.
So if it gets all accumulated into a system, then it would be a health hazard.
Yeah.
So we tried out this. So it ended up into an opportunity. Now she does cross stitch, all this stitching and all, and those go on bags.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah. Then teaching her colors was a challenge.
Okay.
So we used to bring balloons, all this thing. Then we introduced her to painting. Now Joanne does fluid painting. We hold exhibitions of hers.
Oh, very nice.
And she has a joint account with my wife. So all sales proceed goes to the particular account.
Oh my God.
And then we can say that
very good. That's
slowly she is getting to be financially
I think,
independent.
they're already on the path of independence.
So it's basically
self-sufficient.
What we are doing is we are exploring possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without
You're not
limitation.
doing it so thoughtfully.
Yeah.
It's commendable.
Yeah, because see, we see a lot of inspiration on social media, and then we say, okay, this child is doing this, why don't I try? Maybe it will work, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, let's move to something else.
Yeah.
As long as the child is enjoying.
Yeah.
So now her paintings, not only those frames, those paintings, we get it transferred on t-shirts, we get it transferred on mugs with a social message, see the able not the label.
Not the label.
This is our tagline, like,
Very
no?
nice.
Amazing.
So
thing
wherever we get opportunities, we participate in exhibitions. More than selling things, we're able to connect with people.
100%.
Yeah,
And
to tell people, like, no,
share
that-
stories, yes.
people do not know, like, no, yes, probably, like, no, when Joanne opens her mouth or she flaps her hands around, people will feel like, no, that this is an inappropriate way in a so-called normal world.
Yeah.
I always say there's no normal as such.
Because
We put that.
Yeah, normal is a very relative term. Imagine, like, no, a full room of people flapping hands and one person just sitting. We call it abnormal.
Normal.
It's very relative.
It would be abnormal that we are
Sitting like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for one person normal, it's not normal for the other person.
Exactly. This is all relative, like, no. So we are using those opportunities and moving it
I
ahead.
feel they are inspiration and giving hope for so many parents around the world.
So true.
Yeah.
Even Bryden, I just recollected something. He used to be in the kitchen and he used to throw onions on the floor just because he was getting a delight with the sound which is coming.
Or smacking the onions.
Yeah.
Yes. Kids also love doing tomatoes.
Exactly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you should do all that, like, no. Imagine how much of onions. So every piece is of the same size. So now the things have changed. He cuts, Joanne cooks, and we eat.
And there's a perfect combination.
Yeah, and then the day is planned, from morning till night. There is so much of activity which they enjoy. It's not that we are forcing something.
Yeah.
Okay, it is all gone into the system.
Yeah,
like, no?
it's a life skill, and
it's become very organic.
in the bargain.
And something, if it is not happening, they say, like, Joanne will say, put clothes in the washing machine.
For the
Kind of a
routine
thing.
is complete.
Because she knows,
has to be followed.
Yeah, because she knows if the clothes are not there, that means it has to be washed,
Yeah.
And Bryden looks forward, clothes are washed, so he needs to put in a dry line.
Perfect. So amazingly, you all have channelized, the skills of your children and taught them so many things, which is amazing. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. Great. You all should definitely keep doing more and more of your inspirational
sharings, yes.
Yeah, you all should definitely share what you all are doing more and more. We'll make sure that we help you out with this. Yes, back to you, Jyotsna. I would really love to know. So, how do you introduce? Parents always would love to stick to education.
Yeah.
So, how do you advocate that with education, sports is also equally important? So, how do you advocate that to parents?
So I feel that has actually changed in the last 5 years. I think parents themselves want the child to be more sports oriented.
Yes.
Yes. And I feel also the government has been quite open and initiative, having Khelo India, having so many competitions, encouraging sponsoring, a lot more women, girls in the sports. But I feel now parents are generally more oriented for sports. I think now some borderline, I think from the last 1.5 years, I'm seeing a pattern that parents want to do 2 sports. So I think it's exceeding there with education. Having 2 sports is quite hectic for a child or growing child who's of 8 years old, 9 years old. And so I would say definitely explore 2, but stick to 1 in the long run. Because you want to give an opportunity to the child to explore a sport and excel in that also. But I feel parents are themselves very keen to learn, and especially I think swimming has come up in the recent times because I think every big complex or every complex has a swimming pool now. So parents are a lot more aware of the child's safety. And they might not know swimming, but they make sure their children are learning swimming. I think that's a pattern I've been seeing for the last 1.5, 2 years. Swimming has become very compulsory as a life-saving. And also I feel schools have a lot of aquatic curriculums now in many big schools. So I think that helps in children at least being safe enough in the water. So that I think is taken care of right now. Wow. So parents, you mean to say parents are getting more aware and they themselves are trying to get children into sports, just the way we saw
Mr. Bryne doing the same?
I think in the schools also, when the kids do good in sports, they get extra points.
Correct.
Yeah.
In their school marking system, as well as it brings
And
a lot
recognition.
of this thing for the school also. The school, if they have got more sports people, their leverage increases much more.
Correct. So yes, another question that came up to my mind was: so your children have entered their teens. How did you handle that, or has that been some change, or how was it like?
Yeah, there is certain, because I have got both a boy and a girl.
Yes.
Okay, there are certain topics that people consider taboo to be discussed. Okay, now when kids on the spectrum, okay, they biologically they grow like any other child.
Yes.
And for example, like Joanne, okay, we knew at certain point of time she is going to start her menstrual cycles.
Yes.
So my wife was very well prepared, So what she did was, from the time when she was 8 or 9 years, she started using panty liners for my daughter.
Okay.
So what used to happen, because we knew that all of a sudden if we try to introduce pads or something, our kids do not like any external object or whatsoever on the body.
Yeah.
Correct.
And how would she handle at that time, And it would be a challenge, because it would be very difficult for us to make her understand.
Yeah.
Correct.
So she started doing it as a gradual process. A week every month she used to put those panty liners. Okay, slowly she started increasing the thickness of the liners. Okay, so Joanne was almost mentally she was ready.
Very nice.
So-
It's a beautiful way to do it.
So when she was so by that time she got her periods. Okay, she was prepared. And right now we are so happy that she doesn't even require a visual cue.
Oh God, I'm just getting goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
The way they're so
I
very
think both of them.
advances. Wow.
No, because see, these are
Natural
these
ways.
are natural things which are bound to happen.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
planning it so in advance and so gradually, so well is
No, because what happens
really good.
any other child, they understand and they learn from their peers. But our children, that is not the case.
Exactly.
Okay, children learn less from parents, but from the world, the society outside. But that is not the case for us. So whatever we have to do it on our own.
Yeah.
So now we are happy, that she's totally confident on her cycles. Okay, as I said, she doesn't require a cue. Also, her body system only makes her tell, "Mama, give pad."
Oh.
So she will keep everything
Very
ready,
nice.
kind of a thing.
Very nice.
So that is one thing, which has helped us. So we tell a lot of parents, the moment we see a parent with a girl child, we try to tell them this thing, because they are not open to discuss these things.
Correct.
So we tell them in advance, and they say "Oh, good, you told us, because we never thought of in that aspect." Because see, life is not everything to be seen from the lens of autism.
Correct. True.
Because everything goes on organically.
Yeah.
So we need to prepare ourselves.
Yeah, off the label.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even Bryden is turned into his teens, so his mood swings, all those things are always there, But then, since we have seen the world from their eyes, okay, we know exactly what is going to happen next. Okay, so the kind of clothing what we have used, kind of so all those things we have taken care of, and things are comfortable although they are in their teens now.
Great.
But then a lot of preparation, as I said, I keep telling it has
So-
to be consistency.
Yeah, so homeschooling, I think they are themselves homeschooled themselves to be able to help.
Oh my God, schooling
And
is another aspect.
so-
Because our normal schools, the curriculum is not designed for special needs. Like for example, for my daughter, she's doing NIOS, open schooling. She has cleared a B level, she's going to a C level. So there were certain topics for example, chlorophyll. Now, how do I explain Joanne, that about this pigment is in the leaf and this is called chlorophyll, because it's not going to practically be used by her. So we started gardening, in a balcony to try to make both the kids understand, by watering the plants, they can see physically the growth.
Correct.
Rather than have a typical desktop teaching, textbook and showing that. I rather show them, because they are visual learners.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is how we are doing, certain things what we feel, for example, a unit of measurement. Certain things are outdated, but they are still there in the textbooks. Now, when my child is already having challenges, why to pressurize her something which the world wants, but it's not going to be useful for them?
Correct.
So we have tweaked our way of teaching them, So we teach them probably practically in the kitchen, for example, or in the bedroom, or wherever possible. We use those opportunities to teach them what is going to be functionally useful for them in their real life.
So true. So have they ever been to a school?
Yeah,
They have.
Yes, they have been to the mainstream, special schools. But then we had to withdraw them because what we used to teach them at home, the school wasn't able to cope up with that.
Okay.
So we said, when our child is benefiting by what we are doing,
Working at home.
then there's no point, sending them to school.
Correct.
Now we have enrolled Bryden to a special school. That is also not for basically academics. It is because our children should know how to conduct themselves in a group.
Have social
Interaction, how they need to walk in a queue, how do they communicate in between peers, because see, they can understand what me and Janice are talking to them. So that would be a command only from both of us. But then when a third person gives a command, that has to be a generic command.
Yeah.
If I tell something and someone else also tells something, the message should be clear that they have to do this.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, we have enrolled them in a school. Joanne goes to a setup called Together Foundation. Now she's learning to do data entry for HDFC Bank.
Very nice.
Then she's introducing.
My eyebrows are just raising.
So we're giving them a lot of opportunities. They're able to conduct themselves with peers. She's trying to learn bakery. So a lot of vocational skills.
Oh my God. Super amazing. So I have no words.
Yeah, I think they've cracked the code for parenting.
Yeah, you have cracked the mantra, you can say.
Because there's hardly anything that we could do. We have a challenge.
Adapt. Yeah.
We have two kids. Either you have to run away or you have to face it.
Yeah.
And this is what we are doing. And then whatever we are doing with the kids, we're getting it back in return. With interest, I could say.
Correct.
Okay. So we can say 70% they are sharing our workload. Okay. Because of that, we are connected with a lot of people outside.
Yeah.
A lot of parents outside. Now we have received a lot of blessings from parents, because we share our journey. People have gifted them bicycles and all these, unknown people we have not even met.
So nice.
Because sharing, they are
Helping
getting
them.
so much knowledge. They are able to understand, what they're getting guidance.
And have hope. And have hope.
Yeah, they have so much of hope.
Because what happens when you get a child who is on the spectrum, generally parents try to not to expose their child to the outside world.
Correct.
Just thinking that what will people say if my child does not behave in an appropriate way. There used to be a time when we used to enter elevator and Bryden, suppose if you would see a bald person, he would touch him on the head.
Yeah, feel the texture.
Yeah. But that person doesn't understand. He's thinking that Bryden is making fun.
Yeah.
This is naughty boy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But then even we started creating awareness within our society where we are staying.
Yeah.
Trying to tell them why he's doing like that or why my children are so and so. Trying to tell them that these are. So that is how we educate.
Correct.
Because we can't blame society that they don't understand. How will they understand till I don't tell them?
So nice.
So now they invite them for hoisting the national flag on Republic Day.
Very
and all
nice.
that.
Wow.
So now, whenever we enter the elevator, people ask, so what is Joanne and Bryden up to? So this is all because we are advocating for them.
Yes.
We need to speak out, Otherwise, people will think only that our kids are burden, kind of a thing, Unless until you tell them the achievement, they get their respect in society.
Perfect.
Y'all are role models.
Yes.
Perfectly fitting into the role model box.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, kids have taught us a lot of things, how to understand our priorities. We don't have that much of monetary thing or comparing with other parents, all those things. We are happy with small things that we get in life. Small goals are achieved. That is what is keeping us
But I feel you
contented.
guys are living up to the purpose in so many ways.
Truly.
And being of service and showing them or giving them an space to be their own capacity. I think that's all many parents struggle with, and I think they are doing it fabulously well.
So they have worked with children as well and trained them perfectly, and they are, giving it to the society as well.
Exactly.
So you all have balanced out everything in life.
Yeah, because I feel so many parents feel it's only happening with them.
Yeah.
And when they share, a lot of more parents will have hope.
Correct.
And see, this is working, that is working. Because there's no rule book for you guys to parent,
exactly.
I feel. It's all about adaptation.
And a lot of parents feel looking at the achievements of Joanne and Bryden, that probably they are blessed or they have got some superpower kind of a thing. But then it's very important for parents to share the challenges in the journey.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because when they see all the accolades, they don't understand how much of bite marks I have on my body. There were times that Janice had to wear full sleeves because her hands used to be black and blue.
Yeah, because...
So this is what parents need to understand. Yes, it is a journey.
And it's with challenges.
Yes,
definitely.
And then it doesn't, just because you see the end of the movie is very rosy. But then you see what has been the journey.
Yes.
So you connect with us based on that and see how when you connect with your child, what improvements can come. And it is always when you work together. Secondly, one more important thing is about both the mother and father working together.
As a team.
It shouldn't be that father is just an ATM machine. Just to withdraw whenever you require, Because most of the cases, what we have noticed of parents in the autism spectrum, the mother is bearing the complete load, just thinking that father is giving money, so I have to do everything. But then it's a very, very tough job for a mother.
Yeah.
Full time, imagine with a child having challenges, facing world, facing the questions from society, facing all these things,
And
so it has to be a balance, So it has to be a balance rule. It's no longer it can be say that I am working so.
No, I feel that's a very good point. And
Yes.
it's a very important point right now. I feel a lot of younger parents who have recently diagnosed young children. I think that's what I feel as a pattern that I see in the society is that fathers are usually a little laid back because they also have a lot of accepting time, accepting the diagnosis, and secondly, realizing that no, I would want to be equally involved in therapy because that's your child finally.
Correct.
You want to be a part of their progress. And just hiring or somebody as a therapist would not be that would not be the only task.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we were discussing, that you can't pay money and expect all good things to happen. It has to be an involvement.
Yes.
You can't send your child for 1 year as a babysitting.
Yeah.
We need to be totally involved with the child. Only then we will find results.
Yeah.
True. So
true. That's what I feel like. Some parents, which one you were, would feel that if they're coming to aquatherapy, they can make the child for an hour.
Yeah.
It's like a break for them, kind of thing.
It's a kind of a break.
Yeah, but that's not the case.
Correct. Because the parent has to be equally involved.
Yeah.
The therapist is there just for a while.
Yeah.
But the parent is there all throughout.
Yeah. And I feel the parents will help the therapist understand their child better, why they are progressing, because 24/7 the parents are together.
Correct.
Therapists are in and out, some behavioral patterns which we might not know, but they have probably signs in the house and probably we see the signs outside. I think then for the therapist to learn, work through it, it's rather the parents give them the input, and it's much easier than I feel. The progress is much more, it's on the same page. I feel that's how it is, because I feel the kids need so much of more work. We have no time to spend. There's no time to waste.
You had mentioned something that when you train these children, the parents are also trained.
Yeah, so when we start new, when the kids are very young, the parents have to get in the water. Because eventually, even if I make the child independent, the child would be going on vacations. For me, to be a child independent, I want them to be independent for life in terms of water safety. So even if they're doing aqua therapy, water safety is a non-negotiable concept for me. Because if they want to jump in a pool, they want to jump in a sea, wherever they want to jump in a water-based environment, they need to be safe enough to come to the side, or when they're in danger, they need to be safe enough to ask for help and take help. So in that, a parent is a non-negotiable aspect in it. And I would also train the parents if they themselves don't know swimming. Because if they can't help themselves, I cannot expect them to help their children or any nearby. So we definitely start with the parent and the child for the first 10 classes. It's a commitment, I think, which the parents have to make in the long run. Because then once you have a good base of learning, I think you never go back. So that's what I come from. That's the type of teaching I would like to impart. So that is a non-negotiable for me.
Is what we got to know from Mr. Bryne as well.
In the bargain, you have also learned swimming.
Absolutely. As I was mentioning, we never knew swimming, both me and Janice. When the kids used to go in the deep, it was difficult to get them out because we cannot enter that deep, and resulting into us drowning.
Exactly.
So that is when we said, Janice was at 40 plus, I was 45 kind of, and we said we have to learn, because we cannot keep shouting our guts out in a general public pool, and people watching us,
and they will
what is
not
happening.
Respond.
And they would not respond and they would laugh, Then we learned swimming. So now we swim as a family, and
nice.
they know,
Wow.
and they know very well that now they cannot go in the deep and wait. So it's more there's no therapy kind of a thing, because there is a time that we used to that we must enjoy together. It's not always work, do 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap. It's not always that.
True.
There are times when you enter into the pool just to enjoy.
And I think that's an experience which every person should have. And I think children on the autism spectrum, definitely love water. They're attracted to water much more easier than other children. So for them to have that space just to regulate themselves, whatever they were feeling, I think is the best way. Whether with family, alone, however it is. I feel once they swim a day, they regulate their unsaid emotions in so many ways. They feel upcoming different.
A lovely conversation that we have had today. So to sum it up, just one tip that you would like to give our parents.
Is have hope and also have perspective of where you want to go. There are no benchmarks to be achieved. There's nothing to be achieved than to live to your highest capacity. Find what's yours and live that.
Super. And yes, I know you have many, but just one.
No, just to be consistent in your approach. Dedication, consistency, repetition is what works with our children. And there will be various stories out there, of various achievements. Identify your own child's whatever is good and motivate them towards it, and you will find only good days ahead.
Super. It was a super inspirational talk that I've had with both of you today. You all have given in so many inputs and so much hope to children. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are truly, truly, truly honored to have
Thank you for having us, so that at least we can connect with other parents
Yes.
also. And as we said, to share the hope and positivity in our journey.
Definitely.
Yes, the journey is long, it is challenging, but then we need to face it.
Yes.
We're walking together.
Yes. Great. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.